Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
1963, when they took the Brier to Brandon.
Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman with Don Duguid, two-time world champion.
Reveille will take the game.
Not a question about it. Right on the nose. It never wavered.
A little bit of curling history for you.
High drama, high intensity.
Well, this is it, Call, for the final time this year.
I'll believe that when I see it, okay? Because you know something else is going to happen, and you're going to say, we should fire up that curling show. Probably in the middle of the Olympic Games for you.
Well, I was going to say, not from an airport. That was a little harrowing last show.
That was fun. Good to see you. We still have lots to talk about.
Never a dull moment. You and I have always said, and we've done this for a few years now, Call, and hello to all the curling fans, but we always said never a dull moment on this curling beat. And of course, there are still pieces to fall into place as teams figure out what they're going to look like next year. But of course, since we last talked, well, what did we learn about? A big change on the women's side. Everybody was wondering who was going to take over Jennifer Jones' team, or if they were even going to stick together, Call.
And it is not the most natural fit in the world, being Chelsea Carey. And, so obvious. And she, of course, paired with them this year, too. So I know she was at the Stu Cells in Halifax. I think they won that event. She's such a great player with so much more game left in her. It's good to see Chelsea Carey back.
You know what's interesting to me, and we didn't have our usual chat before the show, so this is fantastic. We're going through it right now. But as you say that, and as we see these teams take shape and the pieces move and people figure out where they fit into the landscape, there are a lot of people who have left the game who are returning, and a lot of young curlers as well. That was a point made on social media circulating.
Leaving the game.
Young people leaving the game. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, it's kind of disappointing, and then needs to be a solution to it, and it needs to come real fast. Because what's happened with the cost of living, the kids are going to university. They've got a huge tuition bill to pay. They've got huge rent to pay, and they can't afford to take time off of new jobs. So if only there was another way, not just for the under 25 crowd, but really the under 30 crowd, to make sure they're motivated to stay in. And this whole chasing of points that I know is never going to go away, but I thought it might go away when Murdoch came on board and thought we need to train more. We just can't be in this pursuit of points all the time. We need training time to get better. That maybe that would take some pressure off of the young teams. We're seeing a ton of teams disbanded in Nova Scotia. If we're able to field a 4-team provincial championship, that'll be a miracle, down from 8 teams. So those kind of numbers are staggeringly frightening. And it's happening, as we see, in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, right across the board. And it's the kids coming out of juniors that feel the pressure to get their careers going.
Well, that's why we have Chelsea Carey on the show, because she always seems to solve the problems for us.
Yes.
And I'm sure she's laughing right now. So why don't we bring her in? Chelsea, hello.
No pressure or anything. Thanks, guys.
Nice to see you, and nice that you're back at the T-Head and skipping such a formidable team. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Maybe some initial reaction. Let's start there, Chelsea, just about some of the conversations that were happening. And I mean, there was a big opening there. That was going to be no secret, and how it all evolved and how it came to be in making this decision.
Yeah, so when I saw Jen's retirement announcement was right before the Scotties, so I didn't reach out to the girls because they had more important things to focus on for that time frame. So I waited until the Scotties were over, and then I gave it a week or so before I sent them a message, and I just said, I'm not sure what your plans are, but I'd love to be considered. We had a good run together in a couple of events and that kind of thing. And then a week or two after that, we had basically an interview. And then a couple of weeks after that, they called and asked me to join.
Can I
interview this? That'd be nerve-wracking.
No, I know. I want to jump in because I've heard about these interviews before. What's that like? Like a job interview? What kind of questions? You don't have to get into details, or you could. But I just what considerations are there, Chelsea?
Yeah, so I mean, this one was it's the first time I've ever had that happen for a curling team. Obviously, this is a bit of a unique situation, with the vacancy that happened to be there and the profile of the team and everything. So yeah, new experience for me, but and a lot of it for me because I had played the 2 events with them. They kept saying like, well, we know where you stand on this and we know where you stand on that, because they got to because I played with them. So it's a little bit different. I imagine that for other candidates that they hadn't played with, there would have been more questions, but yeah, it was just sort of like general, so what do you think for schedule? Who would you want involved as far as coaching, as far as support staff, that kind of thing. It was more just kind of a chat about, what I would think it would look like and what kind of my ideas were, if I were to be the candidate. So yeah, it wasn't anything crazy. It was, and because I was already I knew them and I was comfortable with them, it didn't feel like an interview. Like it wasn't like that, but yeah, just kind of general stuff like that.
So
you said it was a new. We're so out of practice, Devin.
Go call.
You said it was a new experience for you, yet this is old hat for you, being 2-time Scotties champion. How revved up are you to get going at this again after a little bit of a hiatus, except for filling in last year?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I didn't when I decided not to put together a team last year, like a full-time team, I sort of figured that the rest of the cycle I wouldn't play, and I was okay with that. It just didn't seem like the best use of time to start from scratch in the middle of a cycle. That's just really hard when you're chasing points and having to do all that kind of stuff, and it's already partway through, and it just makes it really tough. So and I've just, I've been through the ringer enough times that I was like, yeah, I just don't need to do that. So it was basically like, I'm not going to play unless something exceptional happens, without expecting anything like that to happen. And then here we are. So yeah, really, really excited to get back into it. Didn't anticipate that, but really looking forward to it. It's a great group of girls, and we had so much fun together, and they impressed me so much in those 2 events that I played with them that I'm really looking forward to it.
It's interesting to hear you say that, Chelsea, because this is a grand opportunity, no doubt. but you're stepping into a landscape that Colleen and I were just talking about before you were on the show, about a lot of questions about the future of curling and where we're at in the landscape of the country. How much, despite the greatness of the situation, did you have to consider everything that comes with what it means to be in this arena today?
I think less so because of the team, because what they've already earned points wise and that kind of thing. So it's not chasing points. They already have the points. It's not that, where if I were to put together a new team, that's what was sort of holding me back from doing that, because you've already missed out on the first year to get yourself into slams, to put yourself in a position to, be at the trials and that kind of thing. It just is hard to change in the middle of a cycle and start over from scratch. So joining a team that already has that status is not something I expected, but that means I have to think about that stuff less. It's not so much a points chase for us. We're already in the Scotties. Good chance we're in the trials. So it makes it totally different, and is, a big part of the reason why I was excited about it, why I wanted to do it, because that points chase to try to catch up after you've missed a year or two is just really difficult.
So suddenly the Olympic dream is back on.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be doubles or nothing, and now now it turns out it won't be doubles. It'll be fours. So obviously really excited about that.
That's a headline: doubles or nothing.
Yeah, when it came out of my mouth, and I was like, oh, that actually worked out really good.
I started writing a story, Chelsea. A word on the youth movement and what we're seeing in the retirements and where we are. One of the comments, a conversation I was having in the wake of the seasons is, a lot of our great curlers, a lot of the names that are in the final weekend of the Scotties and Brier, they're getting to the ends of their career. Who are those names? Who are those teams next? That was a concern with the person I was speaking with. Maybe some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a concern. I think you'll start to see it fill in. I think part of it is that those teams have been so dominant for so long that it gets hard to want to chase it, where if that starts to open up a little bit, maybe some people come back from not having played in a couple of years, people that just started a young family or got a job or whatever out of juniors. Maybe you see them come back. I mean, obviously my teammates now will be in the mix there. They're young and talented and that kind of stuff, but hopefully we see some more teams kind of along those lines. I mean, some of them are still a ways away from, I think, being done. Like a team like Caitlin Laws is younger. They've got a little bit more time in the game still. And pieces of other teams like Carey Anderson's team isn't that old either. And so it'll be interesting to see how people react and what happens after the cycle. But yeah, I do think that it's a concern. But hopefully when you start to see some of those people retire and you see maybe a little bit of a changing of the guard, that inspires some younger players to stay with it and to keep going.
You were at the Scotties, of course, in Calgary watching, and I'm sure you watched the Worlds too, and just the dominance of Rachel Homan, even though Jen's team was really close to beating them in that final game. What does it take to beat Rachel now? How dominant has this team become on the women's scene?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, certainly this year, and even the couple of years before that, they didn't manage to win the final and all the Scotties finals that they were in, but they were always there and they were winning slams and they were doing all that stuff. And I think that what you're seeing, I think Carey Anderson's team kind of pushed the boundaries in the first place with all the skips and all that stuff, and we saw them have success. And then now you're seeing teams like Rachel pick up Tracy Fleury. So we have, and Sarah Wilkes goes from playing third, winning the Scotties to playing lead on that team, and that's just their commitment. Same with Emma. I mean, Emma undoubtedly one of the best thirds in the game for most of her career, and then now is playing second. But that's just the kind of stuff that it takes. It's what Marc Kennedy said about the Gushue effect. It's the same in the women's side, and you're seeing it from Rachel Homan this year.
So how do you catch up?
Don't know. Haven't thought about that far yet.
That wasn't in the interview.
I'm just excited to be back in the fray. Now I got to figure out how to try to win. That's like that whole next step.
Yeah.
And we know a lot of summer nights will be spent trying to figure that out, Chelsea. We know you're a proud Manitoban, and of course the Lots were representing Canada at the World Mixed Doubles Championship, a 5th place finish. That thing is so hard to win. Canada has never won it, but we didn't address that off the top. But maybe some words and some thoughts on this team who got to wear the Canadian colors, and we're so damn proud to do that.
Yeah, that was really cool. They've been a top team in mixed doubles for a long time. They beat us, Colin and I, in a semifinal in like 2017, I think, in Leduc, and then lost the final to Laura and Kirk. So they've been knocking on the door forever, and it's, you know, they obviously deserve to be there, and they had a great performance. And that's the thing, once you get into the playoff stage, like it's one game. And Estonia obviously I didn't see the game, but obviously they were pretty hot. Like they ended up going to the final. So, you know, you get to the quarterfinal and it's a sudden death game and you don't win it, but they had a great run. They played, from what I saw, they played great all week, and it was awesome to see them get to finally go there, because they've been so close a number of times.
Nice.
2017, how old were they? 17?
Yeah, yeah, very young. Yes.
I hope everybody's basking in the sunshine that's coming in my window. I should really go close the blind, but I'm enjoying it too much. Well, Chelsea, I think our conversation at the patch or the heart stop during the Scotties came true. Hope and let that body hold up. Body's fine, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be, you know, management of you know, my knee and stuff, but it's okay. I actually felt really good all year this year, so I'm not too worried about that.
Awesome.
Great.
Well,
wait to see this team.
No kidding. And curling is better with you in it, Chelsea. So congratulations. We're excited to be once again watching you in a full-time role with this 4-person game. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be back.
Good.
Yeah, nice to see you, Chelsea.
Take care.
Bye.
I always found it weird that such a great curler was not playing. You know, it just was. She's just too good, and so it's nice. It's nice that she's back and found a real comfortable place with a team that's so solid. Because that young team is.
They are indeed. Well, Call, you and I have talked about this. The country, all across the country, from coast to coast to coast, has been talking about this. Last Wednesday, we lost a broadcasting great, somebody whose voice was the soundtrack of so many great Canadian moments for 5 decades. Of course, Bob Cole dying at the age of 90. Incredibly, Call, he died on the exact anniversary, 50 years to the day, that he made his CBC radio hockey broadcast debut, a Boston Bruins and Montreal Canadiens game. Maurice Richard, he called the winner that night. And of course, Bob Cole, so many people reflecting on stories. And here's a beautiful montage that was put together by Tim Thompson.
It was a dream you would never imagine could happen.
I was there. Sound of the Montreal Canadiens or the Toronto Maple Leafs.
There is a terrific buzz in this building tonight.
I'll tell you, here in the city of brotherly love, Dick, you get the feeling that it doesn't really matter what has happened so far.
This can be a long, long series. This is hockey, baby. This is the playoffs. And this is Montreal. He's as perfect as anybody would ever hope to be. Goodbye, Wayne. Thank you for all those great moments.
The picture for now will treasure forever.
Benny, all the best. Douglas. The Leafs and the Canadians on Hockey Night in Canada. You can't beat this. Here we go on a Saturday night.
When I watch hockey, and I don't hear anybody else doing the play-by-play, Bob Cole's in my head.
Good evening, everybody. Well, this should be a dandy.
Out he comes. Nice play.
Oh, what a miraculous save by Ken Rackett. What a save that was from the goal. Two shots. They score. Whoa, what a goal. Time is nailing McSorley. Drawn down. What goaltending. Unbelievable. Maria scores. Oh, Maria. Can you believe it? Oh, my goodness. Curtis Joseph. Our Chuck Beautiful scores!
What a night tonight in Montreal.
Trying to shoot it. Here's another shot. Henderson right in. He scores! Henderson! They're going home. Yeah, they're going home.
Here's Joe Sakic scores! Joe Sakic scores!
Don, that's a great shot by Bob Cole.
We see them slide. The puck inside. It's a one-on hockey game. Oh!
Frank Sinatra ever heard you doing this, Cole?
Oh, that was beautiful. And what Alan Doyle said, the soundtrack of your life, when you hear a hockey game, you think of Bob Cole. It's so, so true. He's beloved. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Colleen. How are you?
See you. Congrats on all the worlds and the finale there at the Grand Slam. And tell us about your friend, Bob Cole.
No, thanks. I guess you missed the memo on the green sweater, but yeah, it's Bob was a good friend of ours and a big supporter of our team. He was a guy that really loved the game of curling, obviously loved the game of hockey, and got to live out his passion broadcasting the game, and got to do it for 45 years, which is incredible. And I remember the conversations that Bob and I have had over the years, and there was a couple of those that I think were pretty instrumental in my curling career, and definitely going to cherish those and cherish the friendship that we developed really in the hockey lockout, a number of years ago when he wasn't broadcasting games. He'd come down and watch me practice.
Brad, in the hoopla of the Brier, your first in St. John's, there was Bob Cole at the rink watching most of those games. He had to fly out on championship weekend, which he was not happy about. But I wondered if you ever got a moment. I haven't ever been able to ask you that. If you got a moment with Bob, because he was so proud of you that week and so proud of the entire community and the party that went on out there.
Yeah, leading up to that, he was super excited to see the Brier coming back to St. John's. And throughout the week, I know he was there. And, I got to have a one-on-one conversation with him the Friday morning. He was flying out that afternoon to go do a game in Montreal, I believe. And that week, we had a locker room to ourselves. And I was over there. I just finished getting some treatment. And I was in the locker room sitting there. And Bob just kind of strolled in. And we had a conversation that would have lasted probably 15, 20 minutes, maybe even a half hour. It was a longer conversation, but definitely one that, left me with a lot of confidence in myself. And the one thing Bob really provided me, he was very complimentary of me and what we've done for the province in the sport of curling. And when you hear that voice and someone that has such a distinguished career, paying you compliments and really building you up and lifting you up, it's hard not to go out that evening with a lot of confidence in yourself and a lot of confidence in the team. And, that really got us on the right page for that final weekend when the pressure was really going to ramp up for us.
Not only was he such a proud Newfoundlander and loved the province, but his humility, for a person that was always at the top of his game, his humility is what struck me. Did that rub off on you in any way when you see such a legendary Newfoundlander being so humbled and dignified and kind all the time?
I hope so. Certainly he was one of the first people that when I was growing up, I looked up to as a Newfoundlander that really made it on a big national, international stage. When growing up in my generation, you watch Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night, especially, a young male adult like myself or teenager. And to know that the guy broadcasting that game was from the same community that I'm from, that was pretty awesome and really gave me the belief that you could achieve something on a bigger scale. And, we've been fortunate enough in this province now over the last 10 years to have, many people in the arts and sports, in business that have done that. But certainly when I was growing up, Bob was the one guy and one guy that I got to see every Saturday night or got to hear every Saturday night and gave me that belief.
What's it like in St. John's and in Newfoundland right now, Brad, in the wake of this? We're seeing the tributes, we're hearing the stories, but what's it like day-to-day life in the coffee shops? Is it what anyone is talking about there?
Yeah, I think everybody's talking about it, but, the people that I've talked to about it, it really is, he lived a great life, like 90 years old, got to really live out his dream and got to travel the world, travel the country, broadcasting a game that he loved, meeting athletes that he loved. And if you could do that in your life, do something you're passionate about for 45 years, no matter what it is, I think you can call yourself a success.
No kidding. And he loved curling all the time. I mean, I remember at the 2005 Scotties talking to him there, having a great conversation with him. And the times I would run into him at the broadcast center in CBC, always asking about curling. What What was up with that, do you think? Like, what do you know about the curling background other than the clip we just saw when he went to the Brier?
Yeah, he played in a couple Briers, a couple Canadian mix. Like, he was a competitive curler. And then once the Hockey Night in Canada job became available to him, that had to be put on the back burner. But his love for the game never really left. And he followed it, week in, week out. And even over this course of the last year, as his health deteriorated, he would call me every couple of weeks and just say, Brad, when you on TV? He just wanted to know the schedule, know when he could watch us and follow our team. And he was passionate about it. I even talked about during the hockey lockout a number of years ago, he would come down to the club and watch me practice. Like, practice is not that entertaining. He would grab a drink and get some peanuts and sit down and watch. And, when I finished up, we'd go in and we'd have a chat for 5 or 10 minutes. He'd ask me, what time are you coming down tomorrow? And we did that during the whole lockout. And, that's where our friendship really started. Oh, nice. And, I would talk to him, I would say at least once every month or two, if not more frequent.
Nice. And by the way, when Bob calls, do you have him to say, who is this? Or it's just instant?
It was the greatest thing when he'd call. And occasionally when the guys are around, I'd put it on speaker and I'd let him know he was on speaker. But just hearing that voice come through the phone was absolutely incredible. And the one thing, you show the picture with our whole team with Bob. He actually called Sidney Crosby when we were there around the table. And he told me for Sidney, he put on his voicemail. It was actually his voice that when you call Sidney Crosby would come up. I think that happened for a while. Like, how could you imagine that? It'd be so awesome to have your voicemail is with Bob's voice. Like, it's just such an iconic voice and something, again, that my generation grew up listening to every Saturday night.
It seems fitting that you closed out this season at Maple Leaf Gardens with a win, a place where Bob Cole spent so many iconic nights for so many years, Brad. So why don't we transition to that, where you come off a silver medal at the World Championship and go right into the belly of the beast at Maple Leaf Gardens, and you win that. How did you do that, and how much of a grind was that?
It was quite a grind. I think from a curling perspective, I've never been as tired coming off of that stretch, because you had the time change, jet lag, and then all of the games that we played, and it never felt like we blew anybody out. We got blown out a couple of times, but most of the games came right down to last rock. And that can be a grind as well. So we were happy to win the last event, end off the season on a good note. But it's funny how the game works. We play the World Championship and Nicholas's rock stops by, this much for him to win. And then we turn around, we play the next week. And, I have a shot that, stops this much or just enough for us to win. And really that's where we're at right now in the world of curling. It's just a matter of inches. And sometimes it's just the right day, the right game, the right miss. And, you talked about it earlier with Rachel and Jen, like any given day, it could flip around, and it's just a one game, one shot sometimes situation between winning and losing.
It's always been a game of inches, hasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, drive you crazy sometimes.
I know it's frustrating, but you know what? As frustrated as we were to come off the Worlds with that, like just knowing that it was just a couple inches, it made us feel a whole lot better when the script got flipped. The script got flipped for us at the Players Championship, where we hung on by a couple inches. We forgot about the World Final pretty quick after that.
Oh well, you guys were amazing. You guys had a great week, and it was a great game. And he made an awesome shot. What can you do?
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
Can you do? So the summer now, what'll you do? No thinking of curling or what we
no, the last couple of weeks we've still been involved in it, trying to figure out what next year's going to look like and start laying the groundwork for that. I think we'll start getting into more detailed planning now, probably in a month or so. I think the intention is really to take as much as June, July, and August off as possible. We're heading on a European cruise and vacation. My family, I think Mark's heading to Florida. Jeff was in Mexico. I'm not sure what EJ had planned, but we're all trying to get away and really just spend some time with our family and get ready for another curling season. It's going to be here before we know it. And as I've gotten older and played more years, the season starts earlier and ends later. So I know by mid-August, we're going to be looking to get back out.
And when you keep winning, the seasons continue. And And that's probably a good problem you want to have.
And are you looking at the changes that are happening on the men's side, especially with Botcher's team? And I know Marc Kennedy, where he's coming on later, but he spoke about the Gushue effect, that everybody knows they've got to kind of catch up to you guys. So how do you make sure the Gushue effect stays here while they're chasing you up the ladder?
Yeah, and that's really been the discussion over the last couple of weeks is how do we improve? You know, I think everybody is going to try and do their best, because this is really the last chance you have before the trials. Like, you want to give yourself, 18 months to make sure you're ready for it and make sure your team can develop. So this is really the last chance to retool before you head into that. So I'm not surprised to see some of these changes. And I would imagine there's more to come, because, Brendan, who's one of the best skips in the world, is still out there and available. And there's going to be, a number of teams looking to bring on his services. So, we're going to see more of it, and I understand it, because we all want to be as ready as we can for November of 2025 when those trials come around.
Well, and of course, that big change, you just said it's a 1-game showdown, but the big change, it's a best of 3, which I haven't even got reaction on, but I'm assuming you like that because it takes some equations out of it if you can win 2 games, right?
Yeah, certainly. I think right now we're in a situation in the country where we can't really afford to send our second, third, or fourth best. We need to send our best team. And I think in that situation, you're really reducing the chance of, a team that's maybe 5th or 6th kind of getting on a hot week and then, finding their way through. And to be honest, it stops a situation like us in 2006. Where we were, the 6th or 7th best team in that field. We got really hot that week and found a way to win. But at that time, Canada was in a situation where we could send our 7th or 8th best team and win an Olympic medal. We no longer have that luxury. So we have to send our top 2 or 3 teams. And, I think that best 2 out of 3 final reduces the chance of seeing that kind of Cinderella story that we saw in 2006 or even 2014 with Jacobs. They probably weren't a top 2 or 3 team at that point, but were able to go on and win an Olympic gold.
But the miracle's on ice. You don't think that can happen with a number 5 team in Canada, for example?
No, I think it can.
I love a Cinderella story.
Yeah, absolutely it can. I think it reduces the chances of it is the only thing. I still think in our country, like between number 1 and number 8. There's not a whole lot of gaps. So it just means that whoever's, 7th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, they're going to have to play really well. And if they get through that gauntlet and then get to that best 2 out of 3 and win that, I think they're going to be a team that can go off and win an Olympic medal. So I think we just kind of give ourselves the best chance, ourselves as in Canada, the best chance to win a medal when we go to the Olympics.
Great stuff, Brad.
Thanks for your Bob memories. Those are fabulous. And boy, what a wonderful, wonderful legend we've lost.
Yeah, he's going to be missed. But I think hopefully over the next week, I know I've read today that the funeral announcements were announced. And really over the course of this week, I'm sure there's going to be more tributes to him. And I think those are well-deserved. And, everything that all the kind things people say about him is well-deserved as well. So he's going to be missed.
I'll never forget what he said during that Brier week. He said, what's good for Gushue is good for Newfoundland and Labrador. He was so proud of you, Brad. So thanks for sharing your memories and enjoy some downtime.
Enjoy your European cruise.
Yes. And have a great summer, guys. And look forward to next season in a couple months.
Yes. Thank you, Brad.
All right. Take care, guys.
Okay. Bye.
We won't be bugging him. This is our last show.
Yeah, right. Let's go right to Marc Kennedy because I know he's to talk about. Marc, wonderful to see you.
Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Are you looking forward to downtime this summer too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but look, before we start, can we give a quick shout out to our World Senior Champs?
Yes.
Last weekend. How about that shot by Paul Fleming?
Paul Fleming, amazing. I mean, I've been used as a club mate and as a former mixed teammate with him. I've seen him make those kind of shots, but to win a world championship on that run back was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I've had the chance to play Paul many times over the last 20 years, and there is no nicer guy in curling. So to see his celebration and reaction was pretty.
Wasn't it great?
Pretty.
How good was the celly, eh?
Oh, so good. That was a tough shot to win, right? And you could tell he was super excited for his guys. So yeah, just great to see Canada do good on the world.
And there's a Burgess on the team. Peter Burgess is the third. So of course you've got the lucky Burgess and the lucky and talented combo
that's
there.
right.
So.
And my wife Nicole actually has a connection with the lead, Chris Granchelli. So we kind of keep in touch with Chris over the years. So yeah,
Chris
very
is great, and Martin Gavin. At one tweet, I said Peter, Paul, and Mary, or Marty, and they said we thought they were talking about Peter, Paul, and Mary, the old group from the 70s. You weren't born, Mark. You weren't born. But anyway, it was great to see. And the Lots played amazing, too. I was up at 5 a.m. for a lot of those games just for fun. Yeah. And they had a great week. So sudden death is a frightening spot to be in sometimes, in an 8-end game especially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but they represented us well, too. That's a great team. I think that's going to be a great experience for them. You know, if they get the chance to represent Canada at the Olympics, they'll certainly be a good representative. So good for them.
Yeah. Anyhow, congratulations on your new team. Do tell more. When you threw that glove at Brad Jacobs when we were at the Brier, were you already sending us a message there?
Oh, no, absolutely not. You know, hey, Brad and I have kept in touch over the years. We had a wonderful 3 years together, got to within a few shots of going to the Olympics in Beijing, won 3 slams together. So we've always stayed close and been in touch, and, you know, to see him be successful, I've been happy for him. So, yeah, I'm really excited for the opportunity to get a chance to play with him again, because we were just starting to figure each other out. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Mark, Paul obviously was on the show. We talked about the emotion of this human toll all of this take and navigating this. I also heard Benny talk about the goal at the Brier was to win, and we failed as a team. So you balance being a team, the human toll, with wanting to win.
Yeah.
Can you take us through how you navigate that, or are you still figuring that out?
No, you summed it up really well. That's the tough part when you make these big decisions. You know, I have a ton of respect for Brendan. He was a terrific teammate. He was my buddy up here in Edmonton. You know, we practiced together every day. We got to know each other well. He's a good friend, and he worked really hard, and I loved playing with him. And that's the tough part is, you know, we didn't accomplish our goals as a team, and so you have to make a decision. You know, do we make a change or stick it out? And we just felt as a group that we just needed a little different energy, a little different dynamic out in those big games. And you know what? This doesn't all fall on Brendan. Like, you know, to be honest with you, I don't think we're the easiest team to lead, right? We got 3 pretty big personalities. We have high expectations. We've accomplished a lot. And we maybe didn't set Brendan up for success in some of those moments. So, you know, at the end of the day, this might be a good thing for Brendan to refresh with a new group as well that can get the best out of him. But yeah, those are the things that we weigh when we make a decision like this. And at the end of the day, there's a little bit of time urgency here, especially for Ben and myself with you know, 2 years left to really give it our last go for an Olympics. And we just, at the end of the day, felt like a new energy, a new spark is what we were going to need to compete against these, you know, the Gushues, the Retornas, the Mowats. They're tough to beat. And we were struggling in some of those big games to be successful. So we had a couple of question marks and you know, therefore we have to make a decision.
And when you look at the question marks, do you guys work with a sports psychologist on a regular basis? Because when you talk about, you know, maybe we're a tough team to lead. How do you, once you've sort of addressed that could have been an issue, how do you kind of work to, as good a teammate as I'm sure you are, become an even better teammate so that doesn't alter, you know, any of the team members going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. We were working with a sports psychologist, and I think each of us was working with one individually as well to focus on those, you know, situations when you get in those tense moments. Are you doing the right things for the people around you? So we worked hard, and look, we had some success as a team. You know, I read people say, you know, we didn't gel and didn't have chemistry. Sure,
we were number 4 in the world.
Well, we were number 1 for a while.
Yeah,
we were
right.
TRS for most of the year. We won 2 Grand Slams. You know, we were bronze medalists twice at the Brier. So we were a very good team. And just something was a little bit off in those big moments. And you know, when I talked to Ted Wyman at the Toronto Sun, I called it the Gushue effect. Like, Brad has pushed teams to the brink here to really think about whether they have the right lineup to compete against the best in the world day in and day out, and not just compete, but to be successful. And we felt sometimes against those really big teams in big moments, we were just lacking a little something. So can you keep working on it and keep getting better and keep trying and trying? You absolutely can. And that was on the table for us to do that, or do you try to mix it up with a new energy and a new chemistry to see if that gets you over the hump? And, we're at the stage in curling where you see it in other sports all the time. You see it in the NHL where they trade a goalie because they need a playoff goalie, or they make a change on their fourth line to bring a different spark. And, curling's at that point. And we just, felt like we had to have a little courage here to get a new energy and, bringing Brad into the mix. It's very exciting for us. We know what he brings to the table, and we think it'll help us in those moments.
I'm sure there's been a bit of a cooling period for all of you, and there's a lot to navigate in these early moments after this seismic shift, Mark. But I'm thinking about the early days of this Botcher team and the hope and the optimism and the wanting to figure out what works and doesn't work. So now you're doing this again. Do you come as a team and you say, these are the things that worked and didn't work? Because you got to kind of speed that up now because you've got 1 year.
Yeah. You nailed it. Exactly. But the nice thing here, there's a couple things that are working in our favor, I believe. We've really created a good foundation here as a team. Paul Webster down at the Glencoe Club, our practices, our fundamentals, what we work on as a group, what we talk about, that's all in place. It's kind of up to us bringing Brad into the mix, letting him know what we do, how we do it, but also giving him the space to bring his knowledge and expertise to help make that foundation even stronger. So we don't really feel like we're, pulling from everywhere to try to make this work. We have the pieces in place. Brad is just another piece to the puzzle that we think can really help us. So we feel like we've already got a bit of a head start here. And then again, my relationship with Brad, I think certainly helps. I know, Brett and Ben both came to me and said, what are we getting in Brad? And I had a list of things that they're absolutely going to love. And I think Brad's going to thrive in this environment. I really do. And I love that, it's one of the first things we said to one another is I'm grateful for the opportunity to play with you again because, COVID interrupted our tenure together a little bit. And by the time we got to those Olympic trials in Saskatoon, we were a pretty fine-tuned team. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can build on that with this new group of guys that are, we're ready to give her. We're ready to try to win and try to get one more or two more steps up the podium. And we're going to give it all we got here with only a couple of years left.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to say, I love your Cape Breton mug. What's on the Brad list that makes him so powerful when he's on?
Well, sorry, my wife's from Cape Breton.
Yes.
So
we all know that. Yeah.
Okay.
The best place.
Yeah, the best place, the absolute best place.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Brad is he's an exceptional shot maker. I think most curlers out there will say that Brad Jacobs is one of the best shot makers in our game. But the other thing a lot of people don't know is Brad's an incredible teammate. Brad's a really great teammate. He takes a lot of accountability. He just thrives under the right support. He's just a great guy to have around, and he's got a great energy. We all remember Brad with all his fist pumps, but he goes out there with a confidence and a wanting to win. And I think that especially my teammates, Brett and Ben, are going to thrive under that type of energy. So, we've had a couple teams or a couple of Zooms as a team. And, even in the couple of years I haven't played with him, you can just tell that his leadership skills have come a long way. And I think he's going to have some guys that are ready to run through a wall for him. So he's going to be good in this group.
Can we have more fist pumps? I want more Joel Returna's energy out there.
Yeah,
so great.
I don't think you're going to have to beg for them with this group now. I think they're going to, hopefully we see a lot of fist bumps. It means we're making a ton of shots and winning, but I know that we're going to have a lot of fun and it's going to be great.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I think specifically for you and Brad, you both stepped away from the game. You came back to it. You remembered what you loved about it. And what I can hear from you is that there's this understanding that this is all winding down and we're going to go out in a blaze of glory. And that's a pretty cool thing to know, that you're all in this going and pushing towards the same thing and knowing the stakes. And it sounds like there's some pretty magical conversations happening for you guys.
Oh, that's a good summary, Devin. I think you're right. I think there's a couple things with Brad too, that you're right about the year off. I think that has a pretty incredible impact on somebody, that when they come back into the game, you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it because you miss it and you love it, and you want the camaraderie back and you want to go to battle with teammates. And I think he's experienced that. And you're right. I mean, he's my age, right? He's getting towards the end as well, and he knows that this might be his last kick at the can, and so we're kind of coming from the same perspective, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be tough. I know I was just listening to Brad comment on the state of curling in the world, and you guys are talking about inches, and I'm thinking it really comes down to centimeters and millimeters, and one miss here and there. So you're trying to find the right formula to make it work, and yeah, hopefully we can find some magic here with this new group.
Nice.
You're talking like you're getting old, by the way, but you're aging backwards like Benjamin Button. So get out.
Oh, I wish these wrinkles would tell you otherwise. But I've got two teenage girls in the house now, so
you still look like the 18-year-old I met when you were first curling juniors. So
that's very kind.
Anyhow, nice to see you. Congratulations on the team.
Thank you, guys, and good luck with your last show. Hopefully, maybe it's your last show.
Oh, you wait. He'll be phoning saying, we got to do another one.
Well, as you know, there are still some things
missing, chess
pieces.
Some dominoes to fall, as we like to say.
There are. It will be interesting to see where Brendan Botcher winds up, because he is too good not to be making an impact still.
Yeah, and just, on that note again, he's an incredible player and a good friend and a good teammate, and I hope he lands somewhere great, because I think he's going to win a lot in his career, and we wish Brendan all the best.
Always thoughtful, always measured. Thank you, Mark. Say hi to Nicole. Maybe she can hear us in the background, but it's always wonderful to see you and her at a curling event, and we'll look forward to it again in the fall.
Yes.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys. Have a great summer. Take care.
Thank you, Mark. Did we ask if he's going on a European cruise as well?
Well, I'm sure he is. I thought that's what all the curlers do. Yeah, did I see Carol in the background?
I think she was attacking my sofa. I heard her with her claws.
Better the sofa than me.
Okay, yeah, that's true. She is an attack cat. Yeah, she is. Listen, you had such a great, speaking of trips, it wasn't a European vacation, but the work you did with Colin Hodgson and the Couys and Hackner, and who else was there? Mike McCarville.
Carey Anderson.
What an event. What an event.
The Wallingham siblings, 10 Indigenous curlers for the first time ever. You know what struck me? A lot of things did, Call, about this in the Cree Nation of Chesapeake, and they should be so proud. The ice is still in. Darren Moulding set it up. Beautiful artwork on the ice. This is a really holistic event. The youth were on the ice. The adults were on the ice. For the first time ever, 10 elite Indigenous curlers playing in this game. You know what struck me? Look at the star power, Indigenous curlers in this country.
As soon as you bring the Couys into it, you've got it, right? But
look at that.
I know, Carey, 4-time Scotties champ, Al Hackner, 2-time Brier champ, 2-time world champ. It's wonderful to see.
So congratulations to Rhonda Spencer and Roy Nakapo. They were the driving forces in the community, along with Colin Hodgson. The curlers showed up. The community showed up. They made it very clear they want to be the community that has Indigenous representation in curling for Canada at the Olympics.
So important.
And dare to dream, right? And have this event. And to see the youth, to see the adults come and learn to curl with our great Indigenous curlers, a beautiful thing. And it's just the beginning. We had a chance to talk with Al Hackner, who, Call, revealed to me that in a lot of his career and life, he was just kind of Al Hackner. And look at this photo. How good is that? He told me that was from the mid-'80s.
It looks like it.
Yeah. But he said he never really celebrated and talked about being Indigenous, but that he was here at this event to celebrate it. Here's a little bit more from Al Hackner.
I think it's important. It's a big jump. Like for many years, I was known as Al Hackner the curler, not Al Hackner the Indigenous curler at all. Even though in our own community, I've been involved with that. We call it the Northern Ontario Native Mixed Bonsival, and it's been going on for 47 years, and I've been chairman or co-chairman of it for close to 30 of those years. So we bring Indigenous curlers into Thunder Bay. Half the field is always from away, and getting them to embrace curling and feel welcome, because sometimes a lot of them are still on the shy side. So we try to do everything we can to make them feel welcome. Even giving them some curling classes to get going, and some of them have been coming back for years. So it's there in Thunder Bay at our spiel, but you don't see much of it else around. So just recently it's getting out there, and that's a good thing. When I first started curling, I never thought of being a Canadian champion. I just wanted to go throw them rocks and have some fun. And then it's evolved from there. I know when I first got going, I was pretty shy too. I didn't say much. That's probably where some of the Iceman comes from. I wasn't so much that cool. I was just, didn't say much. That was it. I used to, we'd win a spiel or something, and you were supposed to go up there and say your speech to the end. I would just hand the mic over to Rick Lang. Here, you talk. But I've obviously been thrust into the limelight so many times now over the years that I've gotten used to it. I'm a little better at it, and I'm not afraid to get up in front of a crowd and speak. So it's been an evolution of me, the shy guy, to who I am now. So I can understand where some of these younger children are coming in and they're shy and they're a little apprehensive about meeting people or trying something new, because I was there too. I was that guy, and curling has helped me evolve over the years to here I am now.
Beautiful. I hope there are more events like the one you were at. So important, so good that all of the Hackners and the Cooeys and Carey and Mike gave of their time, and Colin Hodgson and Darren Moulding too. So good to see. More's needed. More, and they're planning more. So you and I got to talk. Maybe we get up there, do a show from there next year, or something like that. Let's do that. So congratulations. So thrilled and honored to have been a part of that. Okay. This might be the last show of the season. This might. Well, so we're going to see what happens. There's so many, as Mark said, the dominoes are still to fall for some teams to see who's going to land and where does Brendan land. What happens with Reid Carruthers' team now that Jacobs is gone? There's question marks still out there for sure. I love that shirt you have. That's new. Thank you. Vintage. Is it vintage? Is it vintage new or vintage? Vintage new, but it was a men's medium big, and I cut the sleeves, and I'm wearing it backwards, and I belted it. Okay, so hello. What can't you do, Colleen Jones? I just belted it. I love it. I love it. It was too big for me, but talk about vintage, 1973. Oh, wow. Was Hackner winning then? No, 82. 80, well, I was going to say 82. Yeah. 82 was his first. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, the Hackner double, 1985 in Moncton. That was a shot. That was hard. Those shots were hard. When you think about the lack of sweeping and everything. And the rocks and the ice and everything. That's hard. That might be real makeable now. Not so makeable back then. What do we want to wind down with? Listen, have a great Olympic Games. No, what else do you want to wind? Congratulations to all the Team Canada's winning the Worlds. We're looking forward to next year. Well, no kidding. No kidding. I mean, it is going to be dramatic. And of course, the mixed doubles Olympic trials are in Nova Scotia in November or December, late December. The mixed doubles. Yeah, that's going to, and it's interesting to see the format changes for that as they have 3 events to kind of qualify. Right. So for a lot of the people that are 4-person curling, they got to juggle trying to get into that in order to, if they don't have enough points to get into the showdown in Liverpool. But there's a lot of great mixed doubles teams in Canada, even though we haven't won the Worlds yet. We're close. Wild to consider that it feels like we were just in Saskatoon as a pandemic was sort of kind of winding down for the Olympic trials.
And here we are. After this summer in the Paris Olympics, we are full on Winter
Where
Olympics.
did that time go? I think curling, when you talked about wrapping up, I think like what's gone on with Nick purchasing the Grand Slams, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what change happens. We always hear that change is happening, and yet change seems to, just kind of,
the granite rock turns slowly.
it does sometimes. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of energy they can bring, especially back into the arenas. We were if we could just have the energy that Rachel got to play with at the Worlds in Sydney, where it was so loud and so entertaining and so fabulous, and the crowd was just on it all the time at all of the events. How do you encourage that from the fans? How do you bring some of that for, make it loud, make it noisy, make it an event? I think that's what's got to kind of change in curling.
I feel like that's the new slogan for this show. And I feel like we've made an event. Listen, I'm so proud of what we continue to do. I'm proud of Sophie. I'm proud of you. I adore you both. This is a blast.
You too. We have so much fun.
We really do. And of course, we do it for you, curling fans. So just have a wonderful summer. It's not going to be long before we're back and we're doing this all over again, but just good health to you all. Take care. And again, Soph, Call, adore you. Grateful for you both.
See you again. Thanks, producer Soph. Love ya.
Love ya.
Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.